All right, everybody. This is Professor Float, and I hope you're having a good day. Welcome to the first day of class. This video is just kind of set up so I'm going to show you how to navigate the course real fast. I'm going to show you how to register for my math lab and everything like that. And it kind of this is going to go over the flow on like how everything works. So obviously this is very bare bones right now. Like for example, I have you can see down here, I have chapters 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3 learning modules already up. I will expand all of that as the semester progresses. But the most important thing right here is to start here. So um, underneath start here, this is where you're going to see the My Math Lab student registration handout. The video that you're currently watching is going to be linked under here as well. I'm making the video, so I can't link it yet, right? And then I'm also going to have the course syllabus underneath here as well. So make sure you check all three of those items out. The next thing is this Axis Pearson LTI 1.3. I don't think you have to do anything with that because the way I have the class set up. I will show you though when that kicks in when we get there. The third thing is going to be formulas and tables. So please print these up. It's 10 pages, but we are going to be covering almost every single one of these things. So chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, probability distributions. We go over, let me scroll down here. We go over the negative z-score table. We go over the positive z-score table. We will go over the critical t distribution table and everything like that. So it's just very easy if you have this formula and table card already printed up. All right, that way you don't have to worry about anything. Yes, we will be looking at stuff like this here, like the procedure for hypothesis testing. I have another file here that I kind of like. It's more colorful. We'll probably end up using that. I'll link it later. Not a big deal though right now. The most important thing right now is to understand the flow of the course. So here's how the course goes. All right. This is stats. I am not going to restrict you into just doing like one chapter or one section per week. I'm going to open up the entire course and just let you do your thing. Okay. So underneath, these are called anything with a big picture is called a learning module. All right. So I'll zoom in a little bit here. So this is a learning module here. So it says chapter 1 describing data with graphs. And every chapter is going to be set up the same way. If you click on it or if you click on the icon, right, you're going to see chapter 1 describing data with graphs. It's a little folder. So if we click on that link, I have the lecture notes, the completed lecture notes, and then sometimes there's going to be a lecture video in here. All right. Now, chapter 1 is very reading heavy. All right. So there's no lecture note, or I'm sorry, lecture video. I might make one. If you want one, I'll make one. I don't have a problem with that. But let's go through and let's look at like what this kind of looks like. So if you were to click on just section 1.1, statistical and critical thinking, all right, you could print this up on your own. And what this is I typed up all this stuff for you. And the goal is for you to read the section and then fill in these definitions or these little blank spots as you go. All right. If you get stuck with something, you can always just look at the completed section notes. And you can see my handwriting is not too bad, but you could see like, oh, that's what was supposed to go there. Stuff like that. So I do that for every single section. Okay. At the end of this chapter, you're going to see homework links. So here are the homework links right here. And notice they're already linked into my math lab. So if you were to click on here, and this is where earlier when I said this Axis Pearson thing at the top left of your screen right now that I'm kind of like moving my mouse around. All right. I don't think you have to click on that because what's going to end up happening here is let's say you wanted to go into section 1.1 homework. Well, you would left click. You'd get this image right here that says, hey, select Open Pearson to see your content. And then you would click on Open Pearson. Here, you would have to put in your username and your password. Now, if you're doing the class properly, you would already have a username and password because all the way back up here, underneath start here are the registration instructions. This is the most important thing to get done first, is make sure you register first, then you can go ahead and link your class. All right. Now, for me, if I click on that stuff, it's going to say, oh, you've already linked the class because I'm the instructor. So I want to show you what this looks like within my math lab. So let me see. Let's get rid of that. So here's what I'm looking at right here. So this is the student home for my math lab, okay? And you're already going to see that I have a ton of homework assignments available. In fact, it's the entire semester. So according to May 18th at 2:05 p.m. when I created all this stuff, all right, you could see everything's listed here, all right? So these are all the homework assignments. Now, you'll notice anything with a circle is going to be a homework. Anything with a, uh-oh, what just happened? Oh, my session ended. Well, that's all right. We'll just redo this. Oh, wasn't expecting that to happen. That's all right. Not a big deal. Go back to student home. All right, we're back. Anything with a blue circle, homework. Anything with an orange or yellow square is a quiz, and I'm pretty sure, and I haven't done this yet because I still have to make them, but anything with I think it's a triangle is a test, okay? So you're not going to see any test here yet. There's nothing here, all right? But what I would like to do is I'd like to go into one of these homeworks here. So we'll go into this one right here, and you're going to see that we have how many questions here? 8, not too bad, all right? Late submission penalty, 10% deduction. I'm going to remove these, all right? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow everybody to complete the homework like at your own pace. I will provide like what I like to call soft due dates. Like, hey, if you want to keep up within the course, this is the speed at which you need to be working, all right? But if you miss a homework assignment and it's 2 weeks late, you'll be able to go back in and fix it and get the highest score possible and all that stuff. I don't care about that. You know, this is an asynchronous course. It's learn at your own pace. All right. So the most important thing is just get it done. All right. Just get it done because there is the hard due date, and the hardcore due date is July 26th, 2025, because that's like the end of the semester. There's nothing I can do then. Attempts, you always have unlimited attempts per question for homework. For quizzes and tests, that will change. So like for a quiz, I may give you 2 attempts per problem. For a test, 1 attempt per problem. Because, you know, it's a quiz and it's a test. But homework, unlimited questions. So let's go ahead and let's see what a homework question looks like. So I'm just going to click on question 3 here. And let me see, can I zoom in a little bit more? Yeah, I think that's good right about there. So for this question here, on the left-hand side, it says, hey, here's all the questions, right? That's pretty nice. This one, they want you to find the mean, median, mode, mid-range for the data below, and then answer the given questions. So it looks like there's, I don't know, 5 questions there, A, B, C, D, and E, okay? So what's going to happen here is this. If they want you to find the mean, when you click on here, all right, 2 things happen. First, your little cursor is in there. You can go ahead and start typing in numbers if you want, okay? And then the second thing is down here at the very bottom of this window, this is what I like to call the math palette or the math pad, all right? So for example, let's say your answer was 1/2, all right? It's a fraction. So you could just go ahead and you can click on that little icon. Notice here it creates the fraction, and then you would just go ahead and use your arrows or use your mouse to type in the fraction 1/2, all right? And you could do other things with this as well. You could do like exponents. So like right here is the exponent button, absolute values, square roots, and there's even more. So they give you all this stuff right here, which you're going to end up using some of this stuff, not all of it, but some of it. It's a stats course. So the majority of our answers are going to be numbers, all right? They're not going to be like epsilon here, right? So we're okay there. Now, another thing that we need to be extremely careful of, inside the parentheses, let me see if I could zoom in a little bit more. There we go. All right. So inside these parentheses, they tell you exactly what they want. So they're telling you, hey, if you want to answer this, type in an integer, right, which is a positive or negative whole number, including 0, or a decimal rounded to 1 decimal place. Now, this is tricky Because what ends up happening is when students see, oh, they only want one decimal place, then in their calculations, students only keep one decimal place because they think, hey, this is what it wants, when that is the worst possible case scenario. I highly recommend, and hopefully you are still listening to the video, but anytime it says a decimal rounded answer, whatever decimal place they want, in this case it's 1, in all of your calculations, keep 3 or 4 decimals. Never, ever round to what they want until you type in your answer. Okay, I'll repeat that. Never round to what they want until you go to answer the question. So make sure you keep 3 or 4 more decimal places, more, throughout all of your calculations. You will save yourself so much time, so much hassle, just by following like these very simple rules. All right. My math lab is phenomenal at what it does. Unfortunately, it's phenomenal at what it does. And what I mean by that is, if they tell you one decimal place, you better pay attention to that. And you better know what that means because it does it perfectly. Now, across the bottom, we have some options here. So let's say you had no idea how to do this problem. You can click on Help Me Solve This. And what's going to happen here is when you click on this, all right, it's going to walk you through on how to do this very specific problem. Okay, so like for example here, part A, identify the formula for the mean of the data set, where the summation of x denotes the sum. All right, so they want us to find the formula for the mean, and that's going to be right here. That's going to be letter B. All right, so we would click on letter B and then check the answer, and it says, nice work, great. And then it says, okay, now calculate the sum. So then it walks you through and it wants you to add up all these numbers. And notice it says, type an integer or a decimal, do not round, because you don't round until the very end. That's so important, all right? But anyways, this will walk you through on how to do this. The crazy thing about this part, though, is if you do the Help Me Solve This, it's going to change the problem. So it'll help you solve the one that they gave you, but then it's going to make you do another one, okay? And then this is the one that you actually will get credit for, all right? The view an example will be a completely different problem, except here, instead of you like answering it, it kind of just, it's more like reading. It's like, oh, okay, we use this formula, we calculate the sum, we count the number of data values, which is 12, and then we take 19,550 and divide it by 12 to give $1,629.20. All right, and that would be the answer for part A. All right, so then you can come back here, do your problem, and you can, so in other words, you can work alongside. So Help Me Solve This, they do your problem. View an example, you do your problem alongside a worked out example that they have. Okay, then we have Get More Help, and underneath the Get More Help, there are videos, there's an animation, there's the textbook, which we're going to look at in a second here, and then there's StatCrunch. And StatCrunch we're going to be using. I have videos demonstrating how to do that stuff and all that good stuff. All right, but all this, I mean, like I said, my math lab is phenomenal at what it does, but it does not care about your feelings. Meaning, if you don't do exactly what they want you to do, you're going to get frustrated. And when that happens, all you have to do is just walk away. Email me. Right here it says Ask My Instructor. So if you click on Ask My Instructor, notice it already says, hey, that's your instructor's email. All right, this is my name. This is the question. And then you can put like a little message in here like, please help. All right, and send. And then what happens on my end is I get an email, right, with your specific problem, because everybody's problems are different. All right, so I will get an email to your specific problem. Okay, let's go back into the textbook now. All right, so we're going to click on textbook. All right, so here's our textbook, and I'd like to just kind of go through some things first. All right, the most important part about math, if somebody were to ask me, Professor Float, how would you study for math? All right, the key is to not do endless examples over and over again. All right, Because what ends up happening is you start memorizing those specific problems without understanding what or why you're doing it. The key to studying mathematics is right here. It's in these orange boxes, or this orange yellow box, the definition. All right. So the definition of a measure of center is a value at the center or middle of a data set. All right. And that's pretty awesome. And then as you start to read this, all right, so let's go to the next page here. All right. Here's another definition. So now we know what a measure of center is. It's literally the middle of a data set. How many ways can we find that? Well, one way is to find the mean. All right. And this is what you're really familiar with. Use the word average when you find the average test score. All right. Well, it's actually called the mean. All right. But the average is fine if you want to use that. And then how do you find it? Well, it's right here. All right. So they tell you calculation and notation of the mean. So here's the formula. Here's what all the symbols mean, which don't worry, in my lecture notes, I go over this stuff. All right. And then they always kind of give you an example on how to do this. All right. And they tell you exactly where this is coming from. Disney wait times. And they show you an example, and then they say, okay, at the end of the example, now it's your turn. Find the mean in exercise 5 for Super Bowl jersey numbers. All right. Now, remember, the key to studying math, definitions. Know the definition and understand how to apply it. Also in your book, anytime you see a little camera icon, you can click on this icon and it will take you to their specific lecture videos. Okay, and they're pretty good. All right. They have an introduction, objective 1, objective 2, an example, and then a conclusion. All right. Not all their videos have this stuff, but most of them do. So if if you kind of already have an idea of the introduction, you just want, hey, maybe I'm interested in objective 2.
So looking at that, then what we can also do,
here's this person, and she's going to go through and just kind of tell you what objective 2 is and stuff like that. All right. Like I said, watch them if you want. If you don't want to, that's fine. Oh, I want to go back to the textbook because there's one more thing I want to show you. At the end of every single, I think it's, I could be wrong. I think it's the section or the chapter. Let's see here. All right, give me a second here. I just want to get to it. Come on. Ah, yes. At the end of every single section, there's this thing called Text Center, all right? And this Text Center shows you how to use any tool that you may encounter, all right? So for example, many of you may have this calculator right here, the TI-83 or the TI-84, all right? And it kind of shows you, hey, this is what you're looking for when it comes to finding this stuff. But these are just pictures, right? I mean, wouldn't it be nice if it actually tells you how to do that? Well, if we go to the next page, there it is. So if you're using the TI-83, 84 plus calculator, it says, hey, step 1, press the stat button, then press calculate from the top menu. Select one variable statistics and press enter. Enter the name of the list and then select calculate. Now, if you need a video on how to do this, all you gotta do is ask, all right? The other thing that we use in this class, other than the calculator, would be StatCrunch. Okay, so StatCrunch is extremely powerful, and it is a statistical software package. All right, so that's going to be over here. So here's StatCrunch, and let's see. Let's open up some data sets from our textbook. We'll do body temperatures. That's fine. All right. So let's see on day 1 at 8 a.m. So here's some body temperatures right here of some people. Right. Let's say I wanted to find the average body temperature. All right. Well, I would click on, oops, sorry, got to sign in. They always want you to sign in to stuff. It's like, I clicked on it. But anyways, so for StatCrunch, I'm going to try to zoom in here so we can see it. Here we go. So stat calculators, or summary stats. So we want summary stats of the columns. Here's day 1, 8 a.m. Here's all the stats it's going to give me right here. And I would just click on compute and notice it's that easy to calculate everything. Instead of me doing it by hand, I can use StatCrunch. And yes, StatCrunch will be available for you to use on your homework, on a quiz or a test. Doesn't matter to me. All right. What matters to me, and you're going to learn this as the semester progresses, what do the numbers mean? Like, for example, 98.1, that's a mean. Great, fantastic. Explain that to me like I'm 5. All right. What is the variance? What's the standard deviation? What's the standard error? You know, what's the median, range, min, max, Q1, Q3 actually represent? All right. So we're going to be seeing all this stuff. We're going to be creating graphs throughout the semester. So let's say we wanted to create a, let's see, what would be a nice one here? Let's do a QQ plot. So here's a QQ plot, and we're going to do day 2 at midnight, 12 a.m. All right, so there you go. There's our QQ plot. What does that mean? All right, so we're going to learn how to decipher all this information. All right, so real quick, let's just go back real fast. We'll do this one more time. Start here. Get registered into my math lab. Most important thing. Then, once this is completed, you could start doing chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and I have a ton of stuff. All right. Oops, that popped up. That's fine. We'll leave page. All right. So next, calendar. All right. So calendar, today's the 18th. You're not going to see anything here. However, if I go to the month and go over to July, you'll notice that all of the homework's already here. It's already due that day. Like, in other words, you better have everything done by the end of the semester, because once the semester's over, there's nothing I can do. All right. Anytime you have announcements, it'll be underneath the announcements tab. Okay. Discussions, I will probably open up like a student-led question and answer where if you have questions, you can post them here. Maybe some of your classmates will go ahead and answer them for you. The only thing I'm going to be looking for are 2 things. If you were to post in here, all right, or you were to answer someone's post, 2 things I'm looking for. Number 1, you're just being nice. And that's not hard to do. All right? It's very hard to be mean. It's really easy to be nice. The second thing, I'm going to check the math. All right? I'm just going to make sure the math is correct. So if you don't get an email from me from posting in here and everything, that means you're doing everything correctly, which is fantastic. If you post in here for some help and nobody responds, please reach out to me. In fact, I should be the first point of contact regardless. All right, because I'm your professor. But sometimes people, like to just do things and they want to get a second opinion. That's fine. I understand that, right? Then you have your grade book. Here's all the assignments right here. All right. The thing I don't know, and this is what's weird. All right, is this is called Blackboard Ultra. You may be familiar with like the old school Blackboard. All right. I don't use that. I use Ultra. This is the newest thing because eventually we're going to have to go to this anyways. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to dive right in. Okay. So underneath the grade book, I can change like the weights and everything here because this is a weighted class. Like homework is worth a certain percentage of your grade. Final exam is worth another percentage of your grade and so forth. All right. I can change it here, but I don't know how accurate this is. Therefore, all of your homework should be in my math lab. Okay. So let me just sign in real quick. All right. Right here, student grade book. All right. So as soon as you sign in, you're going to see your homework here. In fact, let me go to student home, student grade book. And right here is all of like, this is going to be the most accurate. And it tells you how we do the calculations and everything. So right here, homework is worth 10% of your grade. Quizzes are 20%. Your tests are worth 35%. And then your final exam is worth 35% for a grand total of 100%. So this is how I calculate your grade. So your grade will always be accurate and up to date within my math lab. All right. Do not go over this grade book here. All right. Only because Blackboard Ultra is so new that it doesn't really communicate that well with all the grades. All right. This is more or less like use this as like a checklist. Like, oh yeah, I did these things. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here's the raw score on them. Okay. I'm good. Your real grade book is going to be in here. All right. I guess that's it, for everything. I mean, like I said, every single one, you got your chapter 1 or you got your, let's go over that. So within chapter 3, I almost forgot. Within chapter 3 and chapter 2, you have these icons. So This looks like a piece of paper, therefore it's going to be notes. So once again, here are your chapter notes or section notes for that. Then this is a link. So here is a lecture video, so it takes you directly to my YouTube page. All right, so make sure you like, share, and subscribe because I'd like to retire with some passive income when I get older. And
$8. I wish.
sorry. And I think YouTube might be a good thing. You can see I have 171 subscribers, so I'm trying to grow that. So let's smash that like button, as all your favorite Twitch streamers or YouTube streamers always say. All right. So you have lecture notes, a lecture video, and then obviously I include the solutions to the lecture notes just to make sure that like you're not missing anything and stuff like that. If you can't read my writing, just let me know, okay? And I will go ahead and clarify all that stuff. So you got your lecture notes, and then you got your homework. And like I said, every single chapter is going to be basically set up the same exact way. All right. I hope this helped. I hope this gave you like at least an idea of what to expect and how the flow of the course goes. I'm extremely, or at least I try to be as detailed as possible with this stuff because I know math is kind of difficult. If I can give you any advice, here's my advice. Statistics computationally is not a difficult class. It's a lot of formulas, all right? If you're having problems with typing it into a calculator, let me know. What makes statistics hard, all right, is going to be all of the formulas and when to apply them, all right? That's what makes this class tough. Right now we're in student preview mode, so let me go ahead and exit out of this just so you can see just like how much there really is, all right? So like here's all the homework I'm still working on. So we do probability, we do discrete probability distributions, we do the normal distribution. We're going to be doing estimating parameters and determining sample sizes. We're going to be doing hypothesis testing, and underneath hypothesis testing, I mean, we have all this stuff here. All right. So for example, the basics of, didn't want to click that. Basics of hypothesis testing. All right. It's a lot of notes. All right. And we got to fill all these things in. You got to know, you have to know the differences between like a parameter and then a test statistic because they are different. They measure almost the same thing, but they're different things. So it's all the definitions and everything. All right, that's what makes statistics, in my opinion, a difficult class sometimes for students. All right, this is not going to be like algebra where you can just kind of just drill your way through it. Eventually, you're going to hit a point where it's like, okay, what am I doing and why am I doing it? And it all comes down to, well, what was your sampling technique? What type of variable are you measuring? How did you collect that variable? How many observations do you have? I mean, there's all these questions that you need to ask yourself. Then you can start to apply those formulas that we were looking at. And there's a lot of formulas here, so we can go back to this real fast. All right, just in chapter 3, all these formulas. Chapter 7, confidence intervals. This is for one population. Where's chapter 8 at? Or chapter 9. Chapter 9, confidence intervals again, but now we have two populations. And you can see just how, I guess, intense these formulas could get because you got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're looking at. If for any reason you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Do not hesitate to email me, okay? And with that being said, I think I'm gonna close out this video here. So I hope that helped. Remember, most important thing, start here. Click on this icon and get registered into my math lab. All right. Instructions are pretty straightforward. Step 1, log into Blackboard. You already did that. That's how you got this. Step 2, depending on your course setup, for you can click on this Access Pearson LTI 1.3. That should work out perfectly. Okay. Step 3, if prompted, open Pearson, which you're going to do. In fact, if I were to click on this Access Pearson, notice it says open Pearson right here. So that's what you're going to do. All right. Step 4, select Open My Lab Mastering. Now, I can't get there because I'm already linked, but that's what you would do this. And then from here, you need to get access. All right. Now, I can't show you this because, again, I'm linked. But once you go to get access, there's going to be a link. It's usually at like the bottom middle of the page. Just make sure you take your time and read. All right. And it'll say 2 free weeks of access. All right. Uh, or it may say something like temporary access for 2 weeks, something of that nature. All right. Click on that, and that will give you access to my math lab for 2 weeks for free. That way, if you're getting like a grant or a loan or something like that, or you're just waiting to get paid, so you can purchase the access to this stuff, it gives you 2 weeks to kind of to navigate that. All right. Otherwise, you can go to the bookstore, or uh, you could do it directly on the website. Now, do not buy access on Amazon. It doesn't work. A lot of times, those are bad codes that somebody already used, and they're just trying to sell you something where you're not going to be able to contact them to get a refund. The only places that you should be paying for my math lab is at the bookstore itself, like CCAC bookstore, or directly on the website. If you do it directly on the website, I think you're going to save some money. All right. Um, I think you'll end up saving some cash if you could do it directly on the website. Otherwise, the bookstore, they may charge you an extra 10, 15, 20 bucks, something like that. But again, if available, and it should be available for you, get temporary access without payment. Make sure you click on that first. That way, you're in the class. You got nothing to worry about other than 2 weeks of free access. All right, I promise now I'm going to end the video. Have fun. If you have questions, let me know. With that being said, see ya.